Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Conversations, revelations, and inspirations behind the books. You never know where the conversation will lead us, so let's find out.
Good evening, listeners, and I'm Amy Shannon. Tonight we have a guest with us, and thank you for joining us. Will you please introduce yourself and let people know how they can connect with you?
Hi, my name's Jason Irwin. I have a memoir coming out in a few weeks called These Fragments I've Shored, and it is about caregiving. My mother was my caregiver because I was born with many disabilities, and then she got terminal cancer, and I became her caregiver the last few weeks of her life. So it's about our lives together and that. And you can contact me at my blog, which is just Jason Irwin at blogspot.com.
Well, thank you, and I want to issue my condolences on the loss of your mother.
Thank you. It's been 7 years, but thank you.
Yeah, I lost my mother 29 years ago, and it still sticks with you.
Yeah,
And
it
I
does.
lost my father on April 1st,
That's right.
so
Very
I'm just
sorry.
getting
That's
back
right.
into it. And I
Yeah.
wasn't with him like every minute of the day, but when he had to have heart surgery, and after his heart surgery, he couldn't he didn't know how to give himself insulin because he took pills, but he had to take insulin. So I was there every day, took him
Yeah.
to all the doctor's appointments. And this was also, it ran into the pandemic. So I had, he would argue with doctors because they didn't want me in the room with him. And he's like, no, she's my ears, my voice, and my memory. She has to come.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand, you know, it just kind of hurts, and it still does. And I miss
Yes.
those days of taking care of them. So I you've written other work before, correct?
I have 3 collections of poetry.
Right. So this is that's what I thought. And which I would love to read as well. And so what actually gave you, I don't know, the inspiration or the thought to say, oh, I should share this with someone? I mean, I can
Yeah.
understand being, you know, taking care of someone and then them having to take care of you. And in some ways, my son does that for me. My son has special needs. He's a high functioning autistic. Uh, he's now a man, but growing up,
Yeah.
I had to take care of him and his siblings and balance all of that because he took up more of my time.
Right.
And now, because I'm disabled and I'm not completely, I'm independent, but not totally anymore. So I told him that he was my memory and he
Yeah.
helps me out. So I get how it's hard when the tables get turned on you a little bit.
Yes. It's kind of overwhelming and surreal. I don't think I was a good memory when it brought my mother to her PCP because I kind of blanked out and don't really remember what was said, but my wife was there and she remembered.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, when you're listening about what's going on and you're worried about your parent or whoever you're taking care of, uh, you know, that's on your mind more than what the doctor is saying or what the nurse is saying. So
Yes.
like I get that. So
And some denial about what's
yeah,
happened.
that can be true. My dad used to say, the doctor would say, "Have you had any chest pains?" And my dad would look at me and say, "Did I?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he had a TBI for the longest time, and then he passed from dementia. But um, without that accident, he probably wouldn't have had it. But
Yeah.
couldn't remember if he was in pain. He couldn't even tell me if he was in pain at that moment unless I touched him and like, you know, so
Oh,
I can
wow. Yeah.
understand not knowing, you know, what's going on. And um, may I ask what type of cancer your mother had?
Well, and we brought her to the emergency room and they said it was in her bones, but they imagined it started in her lungs because she's a heavy smoker, but she didn't want a biopsy. So she said she didn't care where it
Oh,
started. And she refused all treatment. So she died in 35 days from the diagnosis.
wow. Wow. And she just was one that didn't go to doctors.
No, not
Yeah.
not a lot. I mean, she fought with them too. So
My dad did the same thing. Yeah, sometimes yep, our parents get very stubborn and then we wonder where we get it from.
yeah.
So with your sharing your story, so you know, I asked this, but you know, when you started writing it, were you like just writing it for yourself at first, or was
Well,
your intention to share
I was
it?
I was journaling about it, but at the time I was also trying to write some personal essays. And at one point, my mother told me to write about her, but I didn't want to put that in the memoir because it sounds corny. Um, and then the essays weren't really working out, and my wife suggested just turn it into a memoir and make it all one kind of narrative. So that's what I did.
And that's nice.
And
So
a
you,
lot of my poetry was personal poetry about family and all that. So it's kind of, I think it is a starting point to get to the memoir, to the poetry.
well, I can definitely see that. I mean, I've written books and stuff like that, and but my I used to just write poetry all the time, and
Mhm.
I tell people, yeah, that's my superpower. I can write a poem on
Yeah.
command. And you know, it just comes, and I know that yeah, it kind of it just kind of helps, you know, when you're writing down your thought, but it's you know, it's very poetic and you have that, you know. My dad was a poet at heart. He was really good at it. Um, and but he was also he had a genius IQ, so
Oh,
he would do something and then he'd get bored and be like, okay, I don't need to know anymore of that, and then move on.
yeah.
And I mean, he was the kind of man that when he graduated high school, he went to two different community colleges because he wanted two different degrees, but they didn't offer both the same college. So he
Oh,
went to two
wow.
different colleges. And then he met and married my mom. And then later, he didn't uh he didn't realize what was wrong with him. And he got a TBI when he was a child. He was literally run over by a car. And it wasn't until his early 30s that he found out he had a TBI because he couldn't figure out why he wasn't remembering stuff. He was angry and
Oh,
sometimes violent, and frustrated all the time. So, and I can
sure.
understand that when you don't know what's wrong with you and your body
Hmm.
seems to be turning against you. Uh,
Yes.
and that's what
Yeah.
happens. And some people, you know, I read a poem he wrote when he learned that he was diabetic, and he called it, um, you know, what to expect from the needle. Um, you know, he didn't know what was going on, so he would, you know, he didn't know any other way to express himself unless he was yelling at someone.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
poetry just, it, you know, some people are always are like, you know, well, you know, I have all these thoughts, or they think it has to rhyme, and really it just has to come from your heart, you know.
Yeah. Because rhyming isn't, I mean, super fashionable. It is to an extent, but
Yeah.
I could not really write good poems that rhyme. It's very
I
difficult for me.
tried in high school. I mean, I used to write,
Yeah.
you know, teenage angst poetry and try to get them to rhyme, And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But I found that it was just better just to, free verse come from my heart.
Yeah.
And so you can just, I mean, were your poems, and you wrote, you said you wrote about family and everything like that. So when did you start writing poetry before you even got published? Were you?
Yeah. Probably mid 20s, early 20s.
Yeah.
And then I got into grad school and finally started to write some good stuff.
Well, that's
I think,
good.
but it took a while.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it seems like it takes forever. Life gets in the way, and then you just kind of
Yeah.
then you go. Sometimes there's like this point where you're like, okay, I'm missing something. I need to keep doing, and then I had that moment where I'm like, I wanted to write again, and then I thought I was going to write a short story, and it turned out to be ended up being a novel.
Oh, wow.
Just carried over, but recently I switched genres. I'm doing nonfiction, local history, and children's books. Um, I used
Oh,
to write
interesting.
fiction all the time, so it's a big turn for me. But I've become a local historian, and I've always loved history. So it's just
Where's where is local for you?
upstate New York.
Oh,
Yeah, I live right outside. I live in Malta, right outside of Saratoga Springs. Most people know that
oh,
for the racetrack.
wow. Yeah, yeah. I have cousins in Saratoga, so I haven't been there in a long time, but great town.
Yeah, it's nice, and I like where I live. It's home,
Hmm.
so it just feels good. I told my kids, even if I won the lottery and became a millionaire, I would still live where I live.
Yeah.
But so, you have an excerpt from your memoir
Yes.
that you'd like to read?
Sure. I'll just read. See how long. Did I read 4 pages? Is that too much?
Oh, no, that's fine.
It's the first chapter,
Okay.
and so the whole book. There's two timelines, and the one timeline is from the time my mother was diagnosed with cancer, which was in a couple days before Christmas in 2018, until she died 35 days later. And then it goes back and forth through my growing up and hers. And so the first one is called Get This Body Out of Here. And it takes place Friday, January 25th, 2019. And it's actually 2 days before she dies. Jay, Jay, my mother howled from the back room. I woke and ran in to find her coiled in a fetal position at the foot of her bed. You better get this body out of here, she commanded. I died an hour ago. I was about to reach out to touch her, to brush her hair away from her face and try to calm her. Instead, I pulled back and stood staring at what she'd become. Purple veins, like dried up tributaries, spread across the sallow topography of her chest. The twin peaks of her clavicle threatened to puncture her skin with each labored breath. Her dark doe eyes held me in their watery gaze, boring into me, feral and pleading. What are you talking about? I snapped. You're not dead. Instantly, I realized how bothered I sounded, how annoyed. My mother was dying, and all I cared about was getting enough sleep. 6 months earlier, before we had any inkling my mother was ill, my partner Jenny and I made the 3 hour trip from Pittsburgh to Dunkirk, New York, to spend the weekend with her. It was the height of summer, a couple of weeks before my 47th birthday. My mother felt good, so we decided to go for a drive. The air smelled of fresh cut grass, wildflowers, and diesel. Vineyards rose and fell to our right, while on the left, the cement gray waters of Lake Erie passed in and out of view like the back of a whale. My mother rolled down her window and let the wind sweep across her face, while Bob Dylan crooned from the CD player. Someday, baby, you ain't gonna worry about me anymore. Oh my phone.
I'm sorry, that's
Sorry.
beautiful. No, that's okay. Yeah, got me right in my heart. That's so that was first that was beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. It sounds like your mother probably was sick for a long time, but she just didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure she was. Yeah.
You'd be like, yeah, I get that when, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, when my dad had heart problems, the only symptom he had was that 'cause he was a walker. He would walk all around town and it didn't matter, but he started getting out of breath. And that was it. That's the only sign that he
Oh,
had trouble with his heart. And he told his doctor was an idiot, but it took him 3 times to tell his doctor that it's not normal. It's not me getting old because he was always in good health. And he kept
yeah.
his diabetes under control. He loved to walk. When we were younger, he used to go jogging or bike riding, and it was just him feeling tired. And finally, the doctor said, "Okay, just go to this doctor." And that's when they found out that he needed triple bypass surgery, and it was only just because
Oh,
he
wow.
felt winded. He didn't
Right.
mention anything else. Like grandmother, his mother, she had to say, "Call Amy and tell her." And he's like, "But I'm fine." Yeah.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah,
always
that's how
listened
it
to
is.
it. He listened to his mom at all times, so that was always a good thing.
That's a
And
good thing, yeah.
yeah, and
But
when
didn't want to bother you, it sounds like.
yeah, he was like that, and we didn't always get along, but we had a great adult relationship. And my brother said that I did the important stuff and he did the fun stuff, but
Huh.
me and my boys like to do fun stuff with my dad too. Uh, so everything that I did was, on my shoulders, but I didn't mind because I'm not ready to let that go. So,
Yeah.
but, you know, and you said your mom passed 7 years ago, and um, I'm sure this is just kind of when you read your words, how does that make you feel? Are you remembering that
Yeah.
moment or and feeling it as
Yeah.
well?
I think all the writing and revising, I feel like not only with her, but just living in my childhood doesn't seem far away.
Yeah, yeah,
Even people I haven't seen in 30 years, it seems like I've just seen them.
yeah. I can definitely relate to that. And then some people, they're not used to people being sick, or
Yeah.
they pull away or they cling too much. There's always uh, that way, and or they want they good intentions to, okay, everything's done with, you can move on with your life. It's not going to hurt anymore, and be like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that she's always with you, and
Yeah. Yeah.
she was your mom, and she took care of you and you took care of her. And um this is, I'm sure she would just probably say, I don't know, that she's, you know, of you sharing your story. Um, but I think she would enjoy if she was reading that herself.
I hope so. Yeah.
Did you ever write something down and you thought, oh, I don't know if mom wants me to tell people this?
Yeah.
Or you thought about writing something and you're
Yeah.
like, is
Yes.
that too private? Yeah. But
Yeah.
no,
Very much.
so into um as I said, I am very sorry for your loss. Was it just you and your mom, or did you have siblings? Or
No,
I'm
no
sure you had
siblings.
a father,
Yeah, but they had been divorced since the early 80s. So,
Oh, no, not easy.
but
I
my wife was a very big help, of
That's
course.
good.
Yeah.
Always great to have that kind of support system. And, um, you know, and you kind of had your mom to yourself. You mentioned that she was your caregiver because you had some disabilities.
Hmm.
Was there ever a time when you thought, Mom, stop?
I don't know if I thought that, but I was,
Or hovering too much or something
yeah,
like
I
that?
was afraid that I would live, have to live with her my whole life when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my son feels the same way, and he probably will live with me my entire life. Well, uh, the rest of my life. But um, now it's like trying to be an adult parent or a parent to an adult child is
Yeah,
not very easy, especially when, what, like my health fails a little bit. Um, and I'm only disabled just because I was a victim of domestic violence 20 years ago, and
oh,
my brain just got worse over the years. And but I had my I have four sons, but three of them actually like me. And they they loved uh it wasn't easy growing up, but their logic was that when things got hard, that they didn't think things could get any harder than what we had already gone through. So they're like, oh yeah, there's, we'll push right through it. It doesn't
yeah,
matter, you know? And sometimes that's a good thing, and other times it's not a good thing because they think that there might not be consequence to a danger or something. So it was
yeah,
trying to let them know that, okay, yes, we can push through most anything, but there are still dangers. If you run out in the street, you're going to get hit by a car
right.
and there's consequences. Not like, okay, let's just push through it. So, um, and it's not always easy because you can't go around stuff. You really do have to go through it. Uh, and sometimes I just gotta make myself get out of bed. Um and I still think about my mom and um those that I lost. And I'm really big on family history, not just
Yeah, me
local
too.
history. And I love it, just going through. And then it makes me sad, but then it also makes me happy that I can learn stuff about people that I never knew
Hmm.
about. Yeah, always found that that is just stuff. I've wrote some few things about my dad that I haven't shared with anybody. I always thought about maybe I should write something about his life, because where he thought it was uneventful, it was far from uneventful.
Yeah. Do you do ancestry at all?
Yes,
Yeah,
I actually do,
that's
and
fascinating.
I know I did the DNA kit one time,
Yeah, me too.
and I found out that I solved an 82-year-old family mystery uh, just because I have an aunt and her, um, then I have this cousin, and we always thought this cousin was only related to us by marriage. It turned out when I did the DNA test, she had done one and she was a familial match. And
Hmm.
I was like, how can this be possible? And then I talked to my cousin, who is her son, and he's like, well, there's this, you know, my mom and your aunt, they think that um, they were related somehow, and they turned out they were twin sisters. And they only
Really?
figured that out. Yeah, they always assumed it, but they had no proof. But because I did the DNA test and I was matched to both of them, uh, They were they were twin sisters by my grandfather.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I mean, I contacted my aunt, contacted, my cousin because his mother has she has dementia too, and right now he's taking care of her. But he told me their assumption, and then my aunt told me the whole story about behind it, and I said, "Well, this kind of proves that you were right."
So did they know they were sisters at all?
They didn't know they were related at all. They thought there was some, 'cause our family's kind of weird. Well, that
Yeah,
side,
they looked alike
that,
then.
yeah, and they were, my grandfather raised, he didn't raise his daughter that he said was his that he knew was his daughter. And then he pretended he never, like, she didn't exist for 40 years. And the other daughter, she lived with him till she was 8 years old, and then they put her in a foster home, and she was raised by these other people.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, and I was like, wow. I mean, I learned a lot from both sides of my family, and then the sides of their family. But it was like I solved the 82-year-old family mystery. And they were just, my aunt was just grateful that she was, her thinking was correct. She just didn't know how she could
Yeah.
go about, um, proving it one way or the other. But uh, so I find ancestry very interesting. I do it also
Mhm.
when I'm doing my research for local stuff.
Yeah.
And I also use Find a Grave because I find the best stories come from someone's obituary.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yes.
And I like going to cemeteries and just writing down names and find out
Hmm.
who they are. And
Yeah.
'cause I think that you don't have to be famous to have an interesting history. And
Oh, no, not at all.
a lot of women, they just, there's hardly anything written about them unless were married,
Right.
and husband died, um, or they had a son and the son died.
Hmm.
That was kind of about it. So I really want to tell their stories. So I recently published a book telling about local women and their families, how they stand out just because of everything that they had to do. Because a lot of times they had to do more than their own husbands did.
Yes. And not get any credit for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even my great grandmother, she was a farmer's wife, and she did more work than my grandfather did. Uh, And then she
Yeah.
took time to herself, which
Yeah.
I would think is always important. So, if you've always been interested in like your family history,
Yeah, for a
and
long time. Yeah, since a kid, I think. I didn't really know much about my dad's, but his mother would show me a lot of old photographs and stuff.
oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course the ancestry is also such a time suck.
Oh, yes.
You
You
just
read
go
a lot
all day and night.
ever. I know on both sides of my family, I've got in the 1600s, and I'm
Yeah.
like, the records start slowing like down, and then I'll go back and see. And but I keep all my findings on a Google Drive so my family can look at
Mm.
it if they want to.
Yeah.
And any family stuff I just put up there because I'm like, I'm not sending all this stuff out to people. If you want to look, it's there.
Yeah.
But so you and your mother always had a really good relationship
For the most part. I mean, we
for the
get,
most.
yeah, we're
Well,
very close.
that's good. Mom and son stuff, I know. It pops up sometimes. Even though I'm like, it's cold out, put your jacket on. Stop momming me.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, your mother will never stop being your mother, no matter
Hmm.
what. And but yeah, I can't wait to dive into your story. I am looking forward to it. And once I have read and reviewed it, you'll get an email from me about the review and
Oh,
where it's
wow.
posted. Yeah, I can't wait to read it. I just want to thank you for being on the show, and I hope you'll come back and join me again. I'd love
Oh,
to, uh, talk about your poetry book. So if you want to come back and do that, I would love it.
okay.
And
Wow. That
I
would be
want to
great.
thank, yeah, it's just, you can email me and let me know some dates that, and times that might be good for you. And it can be, it doesn't have to be now, it could be next month or whatever. And we can set up another recording.
Okay. Thank you, Amy.
So you're welcome. I'm just going to close out now and thank you, audience, for listening. Feel free to comment on this show or any show and join me again next week. And if you want to check out my work, you can just Google me. I'm Amy Shannon. Be safe, be well, and always be kind.
Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Conversations, revelations, and inspirations behind the books. You never know where the conversation will lead us, so let's find out.